Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Only Snags fans across the globe. That's all right. I know you're just waiting for another Only Snags to drop, but look, you're going to have to jump on the socials and just wait, guys. It's freebie, absolute freebie. Snags is coming in hot and heavy every single fortnight, basically, on that bad boy. What's more hot and heavy is episode 43 of the Run It Back podcast, my friends. I won't get into it too much as I usually do. Overexcited today? Check. Aroused? Check. Ready to roll? Double check, baby. Deal. Tell me what's good.
Mate, big couple of weeks for the podcast. Lots of exciting things in the works too for the boys in the coming weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. And it's really good to see the boys have got the golden touch back. We had Casey O'Neill as our guest on episode 42 and she took that W in a UFC debut, which was really cool. So I think we're heading just above 500 win rate with the King getting the win. If you haven't seen that or listened to that, jump on and have a listen or a watch of episode 42 with Casey O'Neill.
What a nap. What a nap. Do you know what? First fighter that will receive, better than getting a belt after a win, getting an ROB t-shirt in the post.
That's on the way. Yep, it's on the plane back over to Vegas where she's based now. But let's turn our attention to today's podcast. We have all your regular segments are back. We also take a look at UFC Vegas 20 before jumping in and having an even deeper look at UFC 259. Snags, I like how we've actually synced up our podcast back with a nice fight night and then rolling into pay-per-view. It's always nice.
Yeah, strategic play by Snags to miss the potty a couple of weeks ago so we can get back on track. No worry, boys. Thanks for later.
Well, before I get too deep into it, I'll introduce the keeper of tools and the prediction king himself, Stoney. What's good?
DL, how are you, mate? Good to have Snags, the full crew back on board. Got a big card coming up. Can't wait to jump into it.
Well, mate, man, a few words. Many great predictions, though. So it's great to be back with you, my friend, my arch nemesis, but also my dear friend, Stoney. I love you. But over to the other man, the man with the plan, as per usual. Statman, how are we?
I'm doing well. I'm hoping that you profess love for me in a similar manner that you just did for Stoney, but I won't beg for it, so I'll just wait for it to come up naturally during the podcast.
I only do that in the DMs with you, baby. You know that.
I know. That's
for sure.
I know.
Stop that man sounding a little bit needy.
Oh, God, no.
Needy of points, that's for sure.
Before we jump into the podcast, let's thank our sponsors. Humble Fightwear is an Australian jiu-jitsu brand that celebrates one of the most important parts of martial arts, becoming humble.
That's right, boys. We love the passion behind this brand. That's why we've got them on board. They're all about the journey, just like your boy Snags, and you can count on the quality of the gear as I testify every single fortnight and every single step of the way. Statman, where do you find them?
It's pretty easy. You can head to their Instagram page and give them a follow or go to www.humblefightwear.com.au and help them spread good vibes one purchase at a time.
And for being amazing Run It Back listeners, the legends at Humble Fightwear are giving you 15% off your entire order. Snags, hit them with that discount.
Sure, baby. You know Snags got it where it's at. Code word RIB15. That's all right. RIB15 at checkout. Tell them Snags sent ya. Deal. Let's get in the potty.
All right, it's time to jump in, boys. And let's start with a little story time with Snags.
Look, welcome back. It's absolute pleasure to have you back. I was going to say on my lap, but that's kind of creepy. So not on my lap, but sitting down amongst the Run It Back chair as Daddy Snags sits down to read you all the ABC of MMA again this week. So listeners, I was a firm apology from Snags for missing past podcasts. I know everyone was waiting for this absolute doozy release of the book, and we're here. So let's just do the quick recap. I'm going to run through it at lightning speed, okay?
Oh.
That man's doing his best to hold himself together through your introduction.
You're a basket case. That's what I should say for B. Okay, so we're up to letter P, but so we had A for Anaconda, B for Berimbolo, C for Chael Sonnen, D for Danaher, John Danaher, E for Eddie Bravo, F, that's right, Zach Fuss, no Fuss, Keith Peterson, G for Gogo Plata, H for the Hammer, Chelsea Hackett, I for Stoney's favourite, Imanari roll, J for Jiu-Jitsu, K for Karate, L for Leg Kick, M for the most controversial answer in all of the book, MMA, N for Nevada, that's right, home of the fights, boys. Boys, Snags called it. O for O'Neill, although it was Cam O'Neill, it's an O'Neill, that's for sure. And then we're into letter P. So we're at the tail end of the book, boys. We've only got 3 more episodes of the potty to get through the last letter. So we're doing P through to S. Now, I did give to the listeners not long ago and to the boys, I said, if you do not get the letter S, someone owes me a 6-pack. Because I've talked about this answer several times on the podcast. And no, it's not the word several, I promise you. So boys, let's get into it. Snags might roll a bit different this week. I've actually played by the rules, not my own rules, but I've only picked one answer per thing. Usually I pick 2 or 3 so I can throw the boys, but I've got one per thing, per letter, just to give them a chance this week. The listeners asked to give the boys a chance. So we're going to start letter P, boys, and we're going to start with the producer. Looks like he's ready to roll. Letter P, producer.
I've got
DL.
it. It's a very DL response. I'm going to take punch.
I firmly regret starting with you. Incorrect. Oh, Jesus. The prediction king himself, Stoney. Hit me.
Mate, give me the most exciting fighter outside the UFC right now. Bit of Paddy the Baddy Pimblett.
Oh, I wish it was. Paddy, news for the potty coming on in a couple of weeks. But no, it's not Paddy, unfortunately. Should be, but it's not. Stat man. Brett, you're the only one with not a point yet. I'm looking forward to bring one back.
I think
you've
that
got
I
it.
might change out here.
I think you've got
I
it.
do. Pretty confident here. Peruvian necktie.
No, very far off.
But you have Berimbolo in there, but you don't have fucking Peruvian necktie.
No, I do not. I've got one of the most exciting, historical and number-grabbing fighters to ever step foot into the cage. And this is why I thought you would have got it, Statman. A man of many stats. Surely you would have got Punk. That's right, boys. CM Punk.
What an insult.
That's terrible.
This is offensive.
First John Danaher and then
CM Punk.
CM Punk.
Necktie.
0 fucking MMA wins between the two of them in the big book of MMA.
Hey, they're pivotal in the history of the sport. Right, we're going to move on to letter Q. We might start with Statman himself after that one.
Cool. I've got Quentin Rampage Jackson.
No.
Oh, no. Have all the boys gone for the same one?
No.
I think I stole their R's.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe all the boys got the same, so we'll just run through them. Stoney, before we give the answer.
You're breaking up, Snags. Go to D.
He's struggling.
Sorry,
He's doing some quick
DL.
research.
DL.
Okay. I've got something that could be part of my predictions later on. A question mark kick.
Oh, that was a good one. Okay, well, Stoney, what do you got? And then we'll give the boys the answer.
The number one wag in the history of MMA, Queen D.
Oh.
Queen D.
Nice.
Okay, boys, hot tip. One of you's got the right answer. Oh. Ding, ding, ding. And a point goes to the stat man. He gets one.
Yo.
Holy dooly. Good. It
He's on
only
the
took us,
board.
buddy, nearly 13 letters to get there. Well done, stat man. Okay, now we're up to the letter R. I'm going to go with DL first for this one.
Cool. So I'm going ref.
Me.
like, like no nonsense Keith or oh shit, I'm on Herb Dean.
Yeah. Ref. I would have taken referee as a correct answer. That's incorrect. Oh, shit.
Mercy.
Stoney, it's not Rampage.
Well, that was
I'm what you're actually going to go for.
Give me a bit of a rear naked choke.
Oh, look, that is actually a good one. That is a very good one, but I'm going to say it's incorrect. Statman, bring it back for me.
Rowdy Ronda Rousey.
Very generic of you, so I'm not entertaining the idea. Boys, tell me for the answer, who put BJJ in MMA on the map?
Hoist Gracie.
Sorry, who was that?
Seems so obvious now.
Hoist Gracie.
Press that tick button, baby. That was your answer. I know hoist sounds like it starts with a H, but it's actually an R, boys.
I actually thought of him and genuinely thought Snags would have confused his first letter.
No, Snags as well. But mate, I'm the bloke that's written the ABC book.
Yeah, I know, but 80% of it's incoherent, so bear with me.
Hey, the listeners love that. I don't know what you're talking
Mate,
about.
Paddy's
Okay,
going to be
boys.
fucking offended when I tell him that CM Punk made the book, not him.
Oh,
Who?
yeah.
Who's going to be offended?
The fifth Beatle, Paddy.
Oh, Pat, yeah, mate, that's a firm thing. But I actually picked these before I knew Paddy was coming on the potty, so no disrespect to Paddy, that's for sure. Okay, boys, the big one, the letter S. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to run through the boys, and then I'll tell you if you're right or wrong. Remember, 60 on the line for this one. Snags talked about this several times on the potty. D-L, the biggest letter in the book because it relates to me, but it's not me, I promise you. It's not several.
The pick I've got, I ignored what you said. The pick that I've got, you've never said.
Just roll with it. I could be throwing a curveball.
You might have said it. I usually tune out sometimes when you talk, so you might have said it.
Can I predict what DL's going to go?
Yeah, go.
Strikes.
It doesn't sound like it's far off.
Not. No. I thought I was
Dude,
quite
I thought he was
clever.
actually going to go. I thought he was going to go seats. Like seats in the crowd.
Oh, boys, you're messing with the wrong bloke. I've got too much power with all these buttons.
Okay, go. Hit me.
Sleeve choke.
Sleeve choke.
Yeah, or-
okay.
or-
Very jiu-jitsu
well,
related of you.
I think it's an Ezekiel choke, but it's a sleeve choke.
Okay, we'll move on. I'll tell you that at the end if sleeve choke is correct.
Okay, cool.
Stoney.
Whether it's 3, 4, or 5, it does not matter, Sugar Snags, because it is stripes.
Stripes. Oh, I like it.
He says that a lot on the
stab.
podcast.
Well, I do say stripes a lot on the
Every
podcast because
podcast.
I'm a five
Several-
stripe white belt.
Several times.
Several times.
Every podcast.
Boys, I've got several stripes on the white belt. Thank you very much. Statman, hit me.
I don't think it'd be a usual podcast if it wasn't for Sugar Snags constantly talking about the band Stem, singers of the Face the Pain theme song from early UFC. You know that the hard rock with the Gladiator and the band Stem. You always mention it. DL cuts it out a lot of times. Keep going
So
on.
it's in the outtakes. We'll have to release the listeners the outtakes.
The band Stem is my pick.
Fucking 3 incorrect answers for the most important letter. Stoney would have been probably the closest. I probably should have picked strike. Boys, I picked one of the most exciting fighters to ever come out of The Ultimate Fighter. And I've spoken about it several times.
No.
Shoney Carter, baby. How can you leave him out of the book? Oh, no. The glove. That man, the disappointment in your face right now, you know that should have been your
I'm
answer.
just in my head just picturing him landing spinning back fists on Matt Serra all day. Pretty much just...
It's the only thing. Anyway, boys, up to let us. Next week we go to T, U, V, and W, and I'm going to give you boys a hot tip, okay, for next week and the listeners. One of these is a DL answer. Okay?
Sweet, I'm
It's
in.
there for the taking. Now come and get
It's
it.
a takedown.
Yeah.
It's got to be a takedown.
Toe. It's a trip. Anyway, boys, that's ABC of MMA. You got 2 more episodes to enjoy this delicious book before we release the hard copy version. Selling for $599. Anyway, thanks for joining along this week. Let's get back into some actual podcasting abilities.
Boys, let's jump in hot take. Kamaru Usman retained his title against Gilbert Burns in emphatic fashion in UFC 258. Usman then used his time post-fight to call out Jorge Masvidal, only to change his call at a later date to anyone. Is this a legitimate change or cold feet?
I would say it's just a statement. 2 statements that don't have anything to do with each other. I think you got the Jorge fight, he'd take it, and I think Jorge's trying to say that he's wants to sign it with a full fight camp, and Usman's backing out. I think it's just the boys playing Googleberries again, boys, that's for sure. So Snag's not looking into it at all.
Google berries all day, every day. No, look, he's just bored. He's gone through, who is it? Masvidal, Covington, Burns, Woodley. He's just, he feels like a bully if he picks on one. So he's just saying whoever's next.
Absolutely. I think that it's insane after the dominating performance that Usman put on Masvidal that he would be getting cold feet. I mean, if anything, it's the biggest payday available to him. It's the fight that would make him the most money and probably one of the easiest fights in the top 5 for him. So he's not got cold feet.
All right, let's go to listeners. Pretty split. So it was 42% yes and 58% said no. Let's go to the next one. The Black Beast last fought for a title in November 2018. Since then, Derek Lewis is 4-1. Could we see the heavyweight pick another title opportunity in 2021?
Oh, sorry, boys, that wasn't silence. I was praying that it comes true because I'd love to see it, that's for sure. So, yes, I think he does in Snags' book. And if my prayers are answered, as I'd like to say, Snags sees the Black Beast with a big, dirty old strap around his belt before the end of the year. So, You heard it here first, just like Dogecoin.
Oh, shit. Like all Snags' predictions, that one will also be wrong, DL. So obviously you got Francis and Stipe.
Yep.
You got John Jones lurking, just out to the side. If Stipe goes down, you got the trilogy, the decider. So they're split 1-1. There's just no room for the Black Beast, I don't think, this year. Doesn't mean that it's not down the line somewhere, but it's not in 2021, boys.
Yeah, Stoney took the words out of my mouth. The answer's no.
Let's go to listeners. Yeah, the listeners were spot on with the boys there. So yes, 40% and no, 60%. Raphael Alvarez missed weight by a whopping 11.5 pounds and blames the salmon. Raphael was one of 4 fighters to miss weight during UFC Vegas 19. We know fighters fall for the percentage of their purse. Would you like to see a suspension or a directed weight class move?
Look, boys, I ate pretty clean, right? I have not ate that much salmon that I've gained 5.2 kilos. Just saying.
Cool.
Yes, my rig still does look delicious, even if I eat salmon. So I firmly debunk this claim. And I think it should be both. Direct weight class move and then a more hefty fine for the boys. Feed that back into the old pot. Not the salmon pot, boys, because we know they won't leads.
Actually surprised he didn't slip the McChicken in there. Or was it McFish?
Fillet of fish, baby. If you eat fillet of fishes instead of salmon, definitely a 5.2 kilo growth. But do you know what? Worth it. 100% worth it. Give me the fine in fillet of fishes and I'll take it every day of the week. Thanks for reminding me, Stoney.
Look, it's a really tough one. It's not even comparable. You have missed weight and then you've got this. And obviously this, recency bias, you don't miss a weight class by 2 divisions without some ramification. But I just think you look back and Statman will have specifics on this, but the lightweight division would have been robbed of Khabib surely if it had have been directed weight class moves every time he missed weight. So I just feel like we can jump the gun and we can react a little bit too hastily. This is a fairly much an anomaly to miss weight by this much. I think you just write it down as just one of those things.
It reminds me of Anthony Rumble Johnson moving up from welterweight to middleweight and then missing that weight division by, I think it was by 11 pounds as well. They did the right thing in this fight. It's obviously a huge miss weight, so they cancelled the fight. What I would love to see is if you miss weight by more than a pound, you are fighting for a no contest. If you win, it's a no contest. If you lose, it's a loss. So that way your opponent's not punished. With that, you've broken the contract to come in at a weight. You aren't eligible for your win bonus. Show up on weight. Otherwise, you're doing an unfair advantage against your opponent.
Let's go listeners. Pretty full on. Yes, 87%, no 13%. And we do have a few local fighters that follow our account and they actually voted on there too. Came across a fun article on an MMA website called MMAshucker.com. They selected and broke down an MMA NFL Super Bowl team, naming Stephen Thompson as their starting QB. Let's make this a little bit of Australian, boys. What fighter would you have in your favourite sports team?
That's an easy one for Snags. I have the Volk, baby. Goosey all day, baby. Goosey. Put him in. I would probably play him at lock for the Rabbitohs, to be honest. And punching holes every second off Snags if I was playing 6, baby. That's for sure. So Volk for Snags.
Give me a little bit of Valerie Larota as lead tackle on my lingerie football team.
I'd take Edson Barbosa for the Newcastle Jets. I reckon he'd kick a ball pretty fucking hard.
For the Newcastle Jets, I think fucking me or DL would get against the Newcastle Jets. Aim a bit higher there, Statman.
Rough.
Jeez, no Crystal Palace, baby. That's for sure.
Rough.
DL, who you got? You got someone?
No, I actually didn't put one down. I don't know. My Cardinals, I'd like to see John Jones line up with his brother. So the Jones on each side as the pass rushers.
Oh,
so that are good. Cardinals, a couple of Jones running off the edges. Be nice.
Yeah, bird gang, baby.
And we had 2 responses. I don't think I really framed it right when I put the question out on social. It confused a lot of people. So we got a lot of weird reactions. One which I think this came from within the camp. The response was Sugar Snags synchronized to swimming.
No, that's got to be Stoney.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think it was Statman.
Stoney, mate. You're not in trouble. I'm
Those
not
are
your
only
dad.
Snags, man. I'm his one subscriber.
Fuck off. Look at it. He's just subscribers. The listeners are still amazed at my splits from the other week. 4.49 stat, man. Can you believe that? Jesus, 5K is coming in hot.
Sorry, shout out at the Empire Universe podcast. He put Francis Ngannou for the Leafs, and I think he's talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Finally have someone that will hit. So I think
imagine that. Jesus.
Toronto Maple Leafs might be going a bit soft. So he's looking for the big boy to clean a few of the players up. Cool.
Yeah, it would be a bad pickup.
Yeah, nice.
I like it. Good question.
Nice.
I liked it.
Let's jump into our listener question. It comes from good friends at Punchlist MMA, Dale. Always gives us a bit of love, Dale. So this is his question to the boys.
All right, gentlemen, Dale from Punchlist here. Got something that's been rattling around in my brain since last night, and I need your expertise. With Derek Lewis now sitting atop the most knockout list, and all of his wins coming top-tier heavyweights, is Derek Lewis a Hall of Famer? Let me know.
Dale, I do. Mate, I love the potty. I love the sound of his voice as well. Gets me going early in the morning. The boys are rattled by this question, Snags. Not much so. I'm going to say no, straight up, just because Mr. Lewis would need to hold some straps for a little bit for Snags to clarify a Hall of Fame status, for example. So straight off the bat, love him as fighter. No HOF for Snags just yet.
What a question, DL. This one's had me really stumped. They're pretty compelling stats. I reckon he's giving our stat man a little bit of a run for his money with just the way he's presented that. Yeah, look, I'm probably in the Snags camp here. I think he needs to touch UFC gold. But looking back, I think Uriah Faber's in there. I don't believe, and Statman, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe he's touched UFC gold. I know he was WEC.
Famously, no, unfortunately not.
So that criteria of you got to hold the belt to be eligible for Hall of Fame, not necessarily the case. But I think in Derek Lewis's case, he needs to touch it. Even at bare minimum, an interim maybe. But I think he needs to touch the belt before he's in the Hall of Fame. You look at some of the names in the modern wing, and Derek Lewis just doesn't look right amongst those names.
The Hall of Fame, it is more than just the titles that you've held and stuff like that. So I completely agree about the Uriah Faber point. It is about, I'd say, cultural impact on the sport. And unless there is a significant change of events or significant change in the impact that Derek Lewis brings, I think he will be fondly remembered as a ridiculous knockout power who the rules of MMA don't typically seem to work against him, and a fighter who gives outstanding one-liners, but I just don't see a Hall of Fame career in his future, unfortunately.
He's got a really good Instagram account, though.
Oh, mate, the best. Oh, he might win that. Best social.
HOF. Oh,
Best
mate.
social win.
No, sure.
Him and Paige Van Zandt.
That's the ROB boys, baby.
But just quickly, have a quick look at these names. So Forrest Griffin, BJ Penn, Uriah Faber, Ronda Rousey, Michael Bisping, Rashad Evans, George St. Pierre. So that's a modern wing. You could argue all of them have transcended the sport in some way, shape or form. Derek Lewis just doesn't have that.
Is Shoney Carter not in there? Did you miss his name?
He's not, but CM Punk is on the waiting list. So
Yeah.
Good to
hold
hear.
tight.
Well, boys, that's hot take. Statman, do you want to run us through some results?
Perfect. So we picked 2 fights on the UFC Vegas 18 card. Corey Sandhagen defeated Frankie Edgar by flying knee KO in the first minute of the first round. And in the main event, Alexander Volkov defeated Alistair Overeem by TKO in the second. We did look at 4 fights on the UFC 258. Unfortunately, there was a scrapping close to the event. So the fights that we looked at, the middleweight fight, Kelvin Gastelum defeated Ian Heinisch. In the women's flyweight division, Alexa Grasso defeated Macy Barber by unanimous decision. And then in the welterweight division, Kamaru Usman defeated Gilbert Burns by TKO in the third round.
Interesting movements in the leaderboard. And if you followed our little updates, you'd probably know it wasn't a good start for your producer. Very snag-like with only 2 over the last 2 cards.
It's disrespectful.
No, so mate, I was just about to prop you up.
Oh, there you
Snags,
go.
Snags is you're having the bolter of 2021, mate.
Mate, I'm on a tear. I'm on an absolute tear.
Absolute tear. I'm only struggling at the bottom of the pack here with 4, so holding it up. The good thing is, though, I'm calling it a third because Statman and Snags are equal on 6.
It's not how that works, but okay.
No, not at all. You're firm last, I would say. Trust me. I've been there several times.
Several times. Statman had a good UFC 258. You got 3. and he got 4 across the 2 cards. And then the ever reliable, and if you're not investing money in this lad, you're laughing at yourself because he's on an absolute tee. He's got 7. You got a nice little bonus point too. So well done, Stoney. Kicking goals like always, mate. Well done.
Mate, I appreciate it. It's I don't throw this term around lightly, DL, but you look at the most title defences in the UFC. We got Demetrius Johnson and John Jones tied at 11. Boys, I'm coming into my 27th 27th title defence.
Wait, that is a small. Have you got big hands or is that a small belt?
Look how small
The 27th title defence. And finally, the UFC have sent me this bad boy in the post, express post, 26 weeks overdue. Yeah, I feel like even on my worst day, I'm still beating you boys at your best day. So I don't know where someone's going to emerge to truly challenge this year, DL. I hope it's Sugar Snags, but I've got no faith whatsoever.
Mate, if it's for that bet, I'll start throwing away again.
I can head down to Casey's Toys Warehouse to have a fucking cheap $15 belt.
Jesus Christ. Do you know what, Stoney, you can keep your belt. I'm going to keep my trend of Mr.
You
Consistency
better
this
check
year.
yourself, stat man. This was $24.95 with $15 postage. So you
And I
just
hope you didn't
know your
spend that
role.
Don't spend it on the RIB account, please.
Fuck me.
Getting a sore shoulder holding this bad boy up, DL.
No, it looks good,
Next
mate.
segment.
Mate, you must.
12 pounds of gold.
Mate, you need to hit the gym then because that's the smallest piece of gold I've seen in my life. If that's hurting your shoulder, I've got grave concerns.
Look at it glistening in the light
it does
there, DL.
looks good. It does.
Ooh,
It just
it does look
catches
good.
it. Just catches it.
Oh, Jesus.
Just a man who's got 2, one over his both shoulders.
Wait till July, boys.
Oh,
I
you
won't
get
be
a
able
second
to. I
one.
won't be able to fit him into this room. His head won't get through the door.
Mate, the game plan this year, boys, for me is consistency. And you can see that. Look at that. 2 events in a row, 2 and 2.
Yeah, 2 and 2.
Jesus.
Did well. Well, I think the only fight we're going to talk about from those cards is we just want to have a quick talk about our Australian on the card, which was King Casey O'Neill, who got her first win, which was exciting. Why we wanted to use this time on the podcast is just to give you a little bit of an insight what can happen when you come onto the Run It Back podcast.
Obviously, the lead up to the fight, we're 2 weeks out. It feels like I already know what your prediction is going to be, to be honest, the way you're talking. And it's some king shit stuff, and I love it, to be honest. But how's the fight going to go in 2 weeks?
So I envision this fight being similar to my last fight. I'm not sure if you guys seen that one, the one in Abu Dhabi. So I'm a very bully fighter. You know, I go forward. I throw a lot of punches. I think I throw about as many punches in round 1 as Jojo and Jessica I did in their whole fight a couple of weeks ago. So small dig. So yeah, I envision a round 2 finish. I think that I will just make her want to get out of there. That's what I think.
Snags, thought?
Mate, look, it just doesn't surprise me. The look in Casey's eyes during that interview, I knew it was going to come true. And then Snags would have put the house on it, that's for sure. So dominant performance. I don't know why, just because we had Casey on the potty, it just made me proud as punch to see her get that win. And the boys are always super invested in the fights when they've got a guest on the potty. So, mate, congratulations to the king. Hope she enjoys her shirt and the sour worms that are in the mail. And, mate, well deserved, that's for sure.
Cool. Let's jump into our predictions. Statman.
So we're going to start with UFC Vegas 20. But what we like to do is we do like to highlight some of the local talent who we won't be picking fights for. UFC, I'll get it out of the way before we jump into the picks, but UFC 259 is absolutely stacked with local talent, including the main and the co-main. But what I would love for us to focus on in the earlier fights, we've got Kai Kara France, Jake Matthews, and Carlos Ulberg, all Oceanic fighters, all on the early prelim. If you guys haven't seen Carlos Ulberg, his Dana White Contender Series debut, it was absolutely unreal. And then obviously Jake Matthews and Kai Kara France have been around for a long time as well. So we're only picking the main event of the UFC Vegas 20, Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Cyril Gane. When Cyril Gane made his professional Muay Thai debut, it was for a title, winning the AFMT 201-pound championship. He would retire undefeated 2 years later when he made his professional MMA debut, which was also for a title, the TKO heavyweight title. He won that, and he has not lost since. Go with Stoney.
Yeah, look, I made this mistake in the Junior Dos Santos Cyril Gain fight. I tipped against him. I'm not making that mistake. I'm just going to keep this very short and sweet. That said, paying $3.30. This went on in the group chat. Rosenstruck, I don't think the difference is that great. Now, I know the stat man, shut me down very promptly and said he thinks Cyril Gain is going to walk through this one, but I think they're a lot closer than what the odds suggest, but I'm sticking with Cyril Gain. He was very impressive, and that last win against JDS really made me take note.
I'll go second, considering I'm second place.
Interesting. Interesting. Go for it.
Feels weird going second, boys, that's for sure. But
You tied second, but that's fine.
But consistency pays off, that's for sure. Are we picking a finish for this?
One would anticipate we're not picking a finish and proceed. Sugar
UFC
snacks.
20 main and co-main require finishing around. Is this not the main?
It's true.
We do typically pick a finish for.
Apologies for sticking to the script, boys. Not like Snags usually, but Stoney, what's the finish, mate?
Give me a round one TKO.
Oh, going saucy hard. Okay, well, Snags is going to go Cyril as well. A, because I love the name Cyril, and B, because he looks like an absolute beast, and I think he'll walk through it pretty simple, as Statman will probably say as well. And Snags is going to go a round 2. That's right, second place. Round 2 TKO. Statman, third place. You go.
Equal second, going equal second in the picks as well, and I am actually completely agreeing with my equal second cohort. I'm going at round 2 TKO from Cyril Gane. I think his movement is ridiculous for a heavyweight fighter. Jairzinho Rozenstruik, he has the power, but I just don't think that he has the technical side of things. My one concern for this fight is that when you get two really talented stand-up fighters, especially in the heavyweight division, in a main event with a lot of hype behind it, you often get a really, really boring wrestling fest. But I do not think that Gane has boring in his veins. So I'm taking round 2 TKO.
I've got 3 strategic picks amongst my picks, guys, because I can't be third for the rest of my life.
Fourth.
Last.
Or last. So what I've done is I've pulled a little juicy DL stat. I know I like to throw them in occasionally. So the old Rozenstruik's 78-8 with his kickboxing record. So maybe he might pull out some old gems from the bag. It's a good fight. They're two pretty clean strikers, so you never know what's going to happen. So I'm taking Rozenstruik to hand gain his first L, and I'm going to take it early. I'm going to take a second round TKO.
Take it in the multi as well. Get that value, Dale. If you really think that's coming true,
you reckon?
330. Get in on that.
Mate,
Yeah.
it might go into the
we-
punters club. Might slip
Don't
into the punters
chuck
club.
it. Don't chuck that into the punters
Have
club.
we swapped bodies or something?
Yeah, he's doing
You're on
the
the
opposite
snags
of
train,
the
baby.
house money. What's the opposite of house money? Is that when you go to the ATM and be like, I'm $1,000 down. What's another 1,000?
No, that's
Definitely
Snags
do
after he
that.
has 4 beers and me and Dale are near the pokies.
But every spin I could win back my losses.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dale, don't worry about it. It's just a pokey.
Just, I want to level with this, DL. Sugar Snags employed this game plan in like mid-December. We're in late
The gap
Feb, not
widened
even.
like-
Late Feb. This is a long...
All 3 of you are saying Rozenstruik's no chance to beat Cyril Gane.
I'd put it if. Here's the thing: the odds makers have said that Rozenstruik is a significant underdog. So if you look at the value, you're going to want. If you think that, I think they've given him roughly a 20% chance of winning. So if you think that he has a greater than 20% chance of winning, it's smart to bet on Rozenstruik. That was the argument that Stoney was making. Yes, I think Gane will win, but Rozenstruik is good value here. This is a even money pick. This is a 50-50 pick. You don't get more points because you pick the underdog. This is a 50-50 shot. So you're saying that that Rozenstruik has more than a 50% shot at beating Gane.
That's a lot of
But-
stats. That's a lot of percentages. I'm super confused.
I'll just tap it
What
out.
I'll say.
I don't
what I'll
need
say-
gambling advice from Statman.
No, you don't. What I'll say is if that he wins, which he won't, I will do the most ridiculous workout ever created to mankind in honor of DL. Okay?
You guys
100
are
rounds
taking
for
over my
time.
pick here. I'm
10
taking
burpees, 100
Rozenstruik
meters.
by TKO round 2, and he'll get me a bonus point. So I'm actually not only edging my bets for a 50-50 win, but I'm actually edging it towards a bonus pick as well. So if I get this win and the bonus, I take 2, and you guys are on 0. Mate, I'm back in front of equal second. All right, boys, we might change a pace a little bit. I think it's time for...
It's always time for Tool of the Week. Thank you so much, DL. Just quickly, need to give a disclaimer. Our good friend and number one nominee, Phil the MMA dude, he has absolutely cooked it since he was named the Twitter Tool of the Week. Boys, I kid you not. I see you laughing in the background, Sugar Snacks. Just pipe down. DL, hit me. What's one of the worst daytime soap operas you've ever seen? Bold and the Beautiful.
Yeah, that one.
Days of Our Lives. Young and the Rest. I kid you not, MMA Twitter is turning into something worse than those train wreck TV shows because Phil the MMA dude has been having a Twitter beef with a guy called Boogerbeard. Now, people familiar with MMA Twitter will know this beef quite well. It all started. We don't care how it started, DL. We're going to cut to the chase. Boogerbeard has been kicked off Twitter. Phil the MMA dude has reached out to a mutual friend so that the two could reconnect and talk to squash their beef. And he's released a statement via his Twitter account apologising for any wrongdoing on his behalf. Now, boys, Phil, for fuck's sake, there's a lot of tools on MMA Twitter and I need to get across all of them, but I'm too busy being preoccupied by you being tagged in my Twitter feed. Give it a rest, son. I need to look at some other tools. So, DL, he is damn close. He's not getting the second nomination in 3 weeks, but we're not going to do it, Phil. Pull your head in. We're going to go somewhere else, DL. At UFC Opinions. Now, just hold that because that Twitter handle is entirely relevant. That Twitter handle is entirely relevant to the context.
Sounds like a fucking goldmine here.
So ESPN, they put up a quote from Curtis Blades, and I'll just read out Curtis Blades' quote because this paints the context. I'm out here trying to feed my family. I don't care if you want me to risk my win bonus, which is 100,000. You want me to risk 100,000 to stand and bang with a guy that has terrible wrestling? Nah, I'm just not going to do it. So that was Curtis Blades' quote. First thing, my mind goes bang because Curtis Blades did the complete opposite to what he just said and he tried to stand and bang and we know how that ended. So Curtis, you're lucky you're not winding up on Tool of the Week. But UFC Opinions has chimed in. And he says, nobody's mad that he wrestles. We are mad that he just lays on top and does nothing. Does nothing. Fuck me. So Curtis Blades has 14 wins, 10 of which are TKOs. That's a 71 point something % times that Curtis Blades wins his opponents left unconscious or in a bloody pool. Now, he's, laid down on Volkov. That's one fight. That's the most recent one. But is this man forgetting, the Junior Dos Santos, Alistair Overeem? At UFC Opinions, change your handle straight away to @TrashUFC Opinions. If you've got the audacity to call yourself UFC Opinions, you want fucking better ones than that, DL. Now, I've not even checked if these people follow us, and it doesn't matter, DL, because no one is spared on Stoney's Tool of the Week. So, at UFC Opinions, pull your head in, because that was absolute outrageous, and that's why you're this week's... Yeah, outrageous.
It's crazy.
Oh, gets the blood boiling.
Oh, absolutely.
Holy dolly.
Are you right, Snags? You looked a bit scared during that.
I feel like I've just been home and away and done something wrong to Al Stewart. And he's absolutely blowing up at me from across the diner because I've spilt a milkshake in one of the cubicles or something. Holy dolly. You need to calm down.
And don't throw to me about daytime TV. I had no idea. I'm like, daytime TV? What's that? Oh.
Daytime TV. I wonder what's on daytime TV.
Honestly, boys, MMA Twitter, don't get me started again, DL. It's built people with a mutual love for cage fighting.
Yep.
We don't want WWE divas clogging up the Twitter feeds.
Oh, it's
so if
crazy.
you've got Twitter beefs, maybe just log off Twitter for a little bit. Don't issue public fucking statements on your...
Did he at least tag his lawyers in it?
Oh, fuck.
Was it an officially released statement?
And you know the irony in this? Phil the MMA dude's got 20,000 followers. So next week, if that number holds true, there's going to be 20,000 people nominated for Tool of the Week because they're still following it. Absolute jabroni.
You're at a 10. Need you at a 7. Okay, let's continue to move.
I think the best way is to jump back into the podcast. That man want to look at UFC 259.
Let's head there. First up in the lightweight division, we have Islam Makhachev versus Drew Dober. Since starting his career in 2010, Makhachev has never gone a calendar year without a fight until 2020. 3 fights fell through for him due to a combination of COVID-related hassles and a nasty staph infection, and he looks to right the ship in 2021. Stoney.
Yeah, look, it'd be good to see Islam get back in the cage. Obviously, had a lot of momentum, had a lot of hype. We were getting on him for a little bit there, DL. Drew Dober. Now, who's a fan of him? Is that you, Statman, or DL?
I don't mind Drew Dober.
Yeah, there's a bit of love for Drew Dober on the potty, but I'm hoping Islam gets this one just because he's riding obviously a fair win streak, but he had a lot of momentum, and I feel that just through inactivity and not seeing him enough, that's kind of fallen by the wayside. So I'm picking him to bounce back, and not to bounce back because he's on a winning streak, but I'm picking he's going to come back and hit the ground running. So Islam for Stoney.
Snags, do you want to take it?
I would, for someone
Or do you
that
want to like
is-
alternate because we're co-second?
do not disrespect the second place man right here, okay? The one and only second place will go second. Thank you very much. Look, I hope he doesn't hit the deck, as Sony said, because I'm going to pick Islam as well. NFM Drew Dober, don't get me wrong, but I think Islam should get the job done and continue on Snags' consistent run of 2021, boys. Third place, take over.
Is he talking to DL or me?
Yeah, I think he's talking to me.
'Cause I'm
I would say last place take over if it was DL. So
Oh, that's
third place
true.
take over.
Yeah, all right, cool.
Easy.
I am a fan of Drew Dober. I think, especially his more recent fights, he's got 3 straight finishes. He's got very, very quick wins over Marco Polo Reyes and Nasrat Hakparast, both under that 2-minute mark. The only time we've ever seen Islam Makhachev lose, he got knocked out in about 2 minutes by Adriano Martin. So we know he can be beat. Unlike Khabib, where we haven't really seen him in too much strife outside of the Gleison Tebow fight, we do know that Islam Makhachev is human and can be beat. I just don't see Drew Dober being the person to do it. I am also taking Islam Makhachev. I think that he should quite comfortably grind this one out. I don't see him finishing Drew Dober, but I do see it. I do see Makhachev with his hand raised on this one.
You guys are going to think I'm being absolutely ridiculous
my
here because
Here we go again, boys.
I don't need another lecture because all right, the last one really took it out of me. I think this is bigger for Dober than it is for Makhachev, and I think a win for Dober really puts him right in the lightweight mix, and I feel the lightweight division needs some fresh blood. Drew Dober's ready to go, and he wants to be active. He wants to be an active lightweight. When has the last time we had an active lightweight? There you go. Going with my heart, I'm taking Dober.
Heading into the light heavyweight. What?
That man probably really wanted to say something.
Yeah, mate.
He's like, I'm probably just going to move on.
I'll just move on, mate. Because I think honestly, if you were taking
fucking go on to
Stop,
the
you
next.
said you're going to move on. You hold yourself together.
I'll move on. In the light heavyweight division, we are looking at Thiago Santos versus Alexander Raychek. To date, Thiago Santos is the only man to have officially won a scorecard against John Jones. One judge thinks that Thiago Santos has beaten John Jones, and he is the only man with that stat. Jones's 2 other close calls with the judges were both won unanimously.
Very, very good. How Statman like to bring John Jones back into the picture.
Despite the fact that the Dominic Reyes fight was clearly go on, Stoney.
Thiago Santos, he's 2 losses, so dangerous territory because no one ever likes to go on that 3-fight skid. But you look at those losses, Glover Teixeira, geez, he had some moments in that fight. And can we remember that one, boys? He dropped him, Glover got back up, being the zombie he is, took him down, happened a couple of times. John Jones, as Statman's pointed out, Thiago fared really well in that. Raychek, he's a good quality fighter, but I just think Thiago Santos gets back in the winner's column with this one. Jeez, he hits hard. When he throws, he's just a scary, scary human being. And, I'm predicting big things in this one. I'm thinking he makes a real statement. So I know we're not doing finishes, but Thiago Santos by a brutal knockout in this one.
This one for Snags is a little bit of a challenging pick, boys, to be honest. I'm usually pretty calculated, as I've been in season 2 of the old predictions, but one thrown a spanner in the works, to be honest. So I'm going to go with... I think I'm just going to go with Santos. Just done. Just done. Done.
Perfect. Obviously, my big question about Thiago Santos was how he was going to come back from the long layoff after the John Jones fight with the 1,000 different surgeries he had on his knee. And the other big question I had was whether he could carry that power after the first round was done and dusted. We got the answer to that. He's going to return strong, and he was going to return with power in the third round, even dropping Teixeira in the third. I don't think a loss to Glover Teixeira is anything to necessarily write off the man. And Alexander Raychek, while he does have wins over, you've got wins over like Anthony Smith and Jimmy Manoa, they're not quite on the same level as the wins that Thiago Santos has. And Thiago Santos has fuck you power at light heavyweight that you don't normally see outside of the heavyweight division. I do think that Thiago Santos will probably take this fight as well.
Yeah, the boys were actually training partners back at AT&T in 2018 too. But interesting fact is they only grappled, they never sparred. So there's probably a little bit of mystery still with the stand-up game with the boys. But yeah, it's Thiago Santos for me. I think after that loss last time coming back off injuries, I reckon that'll spur him on enough. And I think he would have put the hard yards in, and I think he'll take this quite easily.
So we're heading into the first of 3 title fights. First up in the bantamweight division, we have Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling. Peter Yan won the vacant title by defeating Jose Aldo after champion Henry Cejudo retired. Henry Cejudo retired on May 9th, and the title was officially vacated 15 days later. Only one other fighter has retired world champion, and that is Khabib Nurmagomedov, who officially retired on October 24th. The lightweight title has yet to be officially vacated 121 days later.
Yep, some seriously shady business happening there for my man Henry Cejudo. When they quick to jump off him, it was almost as he walked out the cage, Dana was asking for that belt back. So, yeah, boy, hypocrisy at its finest. Look, Peter Yan, absolute killer, but something inside me says I'm just not sold yet. That could all change on this fight, but took 5 rounds to beat old Aldo. Second best wins probably Jimmy Rivera. For the most part, has only fought old fighters, so he's got a real up-and-comer who's going to challenge him in this one. I look at their grappling. Jan's got those great trips, but if this goes down, we've got a black belt versus a blue belt, and Sugar Snags knows that spells trouble. If we're looking for the best value underdog, it is hands down Aljamain Sterling, and taking on board what Statman said before, we don't get bonus points for picking the underdog, but I genuinely think Aljamain Sterling is going to cause the upset in this one. So I'm going Aljo.
Yeah, good pick. Thanks for that. Well done. Wouldn't know what it feels like, so I'm a 5-stripe white belt, not a blue belt. Moving on, Snags will be taking... This one is a close fight, boys. It should be an absolute ripper for us to watch. Title fight always makes it a little bit better. Looking at the stats, the boys are pretty close, but I'm going to take Peter Yan. Unbeaten so far in his professional record, on a tear. He's on a Snags tear, basically. So I'm going to take him, and, mate, power to the blue belts. You know, if you keep on rolling as soon as you get your blue belt, it means you're going to be there for a while. People usually just quit as soon as they get them. That's why I've just decided to get an extra stripe and not go to blue, because then I'm just gone. So Peter Yan for Snags.
With that humble rusher, you might get your blue belt.
Mate, humble sent a blue one. I just can't put it on because it'd be disrespectful. Got to wear that white belt for life, baby.
Can't put it on. Too much COVID kilos there, that's why.
Mate, I didn't eat the salmon. I've been eating fillet fishes. No 5.2s here. You don't gain kilos when we're on 4.49s, baby. That's for sure.
Fuck me. So Peter Yan is very, very excited. You say that he takes the 3 rounds to TKO Uriah Faber, the 5 rounds to TKO Jose Aldo. The thing in those fights was he was lighting those guys up the entire time. The durability of both of those fighters was really the main talking point coming out of that fight, not necessarily Jan's inability to finish it earlier. Stoney, you raised some really, really good points about Aljamain Sterling, specifically his creativity on the ground. He's got really, really good wrestling credentials, and he's black belt, and he's not just a black belt that can't apply it to MMA. You find out a bunch of these fighters with no real in-cage grappling have these black belts. You're like, why did we never see that? You do see it with Aljamain Sterling, the submission on Stamen, the submission on Corey Sandhagen, who obviously is right up there at the top of the division at the moment. I'm going to take Peter Yan in this fight. I think that Peter Yan's hand power and hand speed is too much for Aljamain Sterling, who, to be completely fair, has only been finished once before. But I do think that Yan is one of the new breed in the division. I think he's one of the more exciting champions that we have, and I would predict that he's going to finish Aljamain Sterling.
This is one of those heads versus hearts fights for me. I've enjoyed watching both of their careers, actually. But probably just enjoyed the journey a little bit more around Sterling. So I think this would be one of my strategic picks, and I'm actually surprised to see that Stoney picked this one up as well, but I'm also going to take Aljamain Sterling as my strategic pick of the podcast, my third strategic pick of the podcast. See how it goes.
Heading into the co-main event, we have the UFC Women's Featherweight title fight, Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson. Despite the division being incepted in 2017, nearly 4 years ago, there have only been 20 women's featherweight fights since then. Megan Anderson has been involved in 25% of all UFC women's featherweight fights. With this fight, Megan Anderson will have the most fights in the division at 6.
Boys, I would love nothing more than to see our Aussie hometown girl, not my hometown, but home country girl get up in this one, DL, but this is not the time to be playing strategic picks. Tell me, DL, you're not playing strategic picks.
No, I haven't.
Nah, look, I see this one going almost identical as to the Felicia Spencer, Megan Anderson, except maybe a little bit more violent and a little bit quicker. I don't see any possible way, even puncher's chance. Just don't see it. I think this is a round one and done for Amanda Nunes. She is just too well-rounded. I think Megan Anderson is actually far too slow, which is something that doesn't get pointed out a lot, but I think she's going to get exposed, lit up. I don't want to say it anymore because I feel bad, but Amanda Nunes.
Pains me, boys. Bit of a stat on me, our girl Megan Anderson. Every single win she's had since 2014 has been via either submission or TKO. So every win since she's basically come into the UFC hasn't gone to decision, which is bodes well for our girl. And I hate to do it, but Snags has got to stay on top of the leaderboard, baby. So I'm going to go Amanda Nunes.
You're not on top.
I am. I'm going to be on top after this one.
You're not even
Amanda
categorically
Nunes.
on top of number 2.
I'm going to go.
Now he's on top
I'm
of the
going to
leaderboard.
say Megan Anderson's going to put up a doozy banger of a fight. And I'm going to say round 3 TKO. For the fans, wish it was Megan Anderson though. Just put it out there so I don't get in trouble. Okay, thanks, bye.
Completely true to Megan Anderson's credit. She's finished every fight since 2014. Unfortunately for her, Amanda Nunes hasn't been finished since 2014. She did get finished a couple of times by strikes in her early days, but that Amanda Nunes is a completely different monster to the Amanda Nunes that we have now. Probably the scariest women's MMA fighter to have ever walked the earth. It used to be Cyborg until Amanda Nunes put her out. And Stoney, completely agree. I think this is going to be and Megan Anderson is not someone who is easy to be finished, but Amanda Nunes will make it look easy. It'll be a first round KO.
Yeah, it's so unrun it back
So
for
shit
us
to say it.
You hear how morbid the room is right now? The boys don't want to do this.
Hey,
They don't.
we're a passionate Australian MMA podcast. We support our Aussies.
Do
We
we?
throw in popcorn and beer if she gets up, man. That would just fuck yeah.
And then we'll ask her for an interview.
Yeah, we'll ask her.
Just delete the episode from the internet and just move on. We all picked you, Megan. We all love you. It's great.
Look, I don't want to talk about it too much, but I'm just going to say Nunes round 2 TKO.
What a morbid vibe. Let's move on.
Heading into the main event. We have a champion v champion fight for the light heavyweight championship. Jan Blachowicz versus Israel Adesanya. Jan Blachowicz joins Amanda Nunes and Weili Zhang as current UFC champions who lost their MMA debut.
Is that a premonition or
Oh, short and
that your
sweet.
pick?
is that a spoiler?
Is that your pick?
What?
Sounded like a spoiler. Like has he already lost it?
He lost their MMA debut.
Oh, it's my
Boys.
bad.
What did I say? What did I say?
Oh, you had me confused. I thought you were saying.
I was feeding off Stoney. I thought I missed everything.
I said he, Amanda Nunes and Weili Zhang are champions who all lost their debuts.
in the promotion. Done. Beauty. Love it.
No,
Great
no,
stuff.
not even the
Jesus,
promotion.
boys.
They're
Jesus.
MMA.
First off,
Shall I
keep the
reread
potty
it?
on track, and now 2, you're not listening to the stat man.
let's read it.
Pull
Can we go
yourselves
again?
pull yourselves together.
Jan Blachowicz joins Amanda Nunes and Weili Zhang as current UFC champions who lost their MMA debut.
Are you saying he's lost the belt?
It's a very, very confusing stat there, Statman. Here's a stat for you. Israel Adesanya will be 8 years younger than Jan when they fight. Fighters with an 8-year advantage went 43 and 28 in 2020, winning 60% of the time. Now, that is how you do a stat, man.
Everyone's
Wow.
trying to outdo Craig now. Have you noticed that theme?
I have.
Everyone's trying to throw
I
in
do
their
this
own
out of
stats.
love, guys. Jesus Christ. Fucking hell.
Oh, shit. No, Adesanya, the superior striker, that's where this fight will take place. Jan would be wise to try and clinch and get in some dirty boxing. I know he's a great kickboxing record as well, so maybe he pulls something out that we're just not expecting. But despite moving up in weight, height and reach still with Israel Adesanya, just as he likes it. Only 2 inches in reach, which is fairly negligible compared to some of the advantages he has had, but nonetheless, it is still an advantage. I just see him very similar to the Paulo Costa fight in game plan, but I see Jan putting up more of a resistance than Paulo. So I am going, my heart says it's probably not going to be as early as what I would like to say. So I'm going to go a 3rd round TKO for Israel Adesanya.
Well, good boys, good pick. And if you didn't know, Izzy is actually the first MMA fighter that's been signed to a Puma deal as well. So, boys, that's a bit of a stat for you from Snags, that's for sure. Look, Snags is going to go Izzy. I don't think we can go past him. Fan favourite of the potty. And then the champ as well, I think it's going to get it done. But interesting fight, this one. Jan, who knows? But I'm going to go Izzy. I'm going to go Izzy round 3 TKO. And actually, do you know what? Stoney, you're a piece of shit. I'm going to go round... I'm going to go decision. Fuck it.
Jesus. Fucking employing strategy from late last year.
Well, here's another stat for you guys. Jan Blachowicz has actually fought 3 middleweights turned light heavyweights in his UFC run. He got TKO'd by Thiago Santos, who we do forget used to be a middleweight, which is just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. He KO'd Luke Rockhold brutally and then took a very, very, very close split decision over Jacare Souza only 3 fights ago. So a lot of it's based off that. I didn't expect Jan Blachowicz to look as good as he did against both Corey Anderson and Dominic Reyes. I think I doubted him a little bit after the Jacare Souza fight. Not to say that Jacare Souza is a bad fighter by any stretch of the imagination, but a little past his prime in a division up gave me cause to doubt Jan Blachowicz. His destruction of Dominic Reyes was incredible to watch. Israel Adesanya is coming off perhaps the most amazing performance of a champion in 2020. The destruction of Paulo Costa. I would have to say that Israel Adesanya is a worthwhile favourite going into this fight. I am going to take him by round 3 TKO.
I do not have any Izzy stats, so I'm just going to move on to my picks. 2 belts for my boy Izzy, and it's going to be a 2nd round TKO. It's too smart, Izzy. We'll spend the 1st round just studying Jan's game plan. Just keep him slightly on the outside, and then he'll just chip away. Question mark kick. I gave you boys that inside at the start of the podcast. Bang. Izzy. All over, son. TKO. Boom. Round 2. Boys, I think it's time to jump into our little punters club. Boys, well, tough little punt last podcast as well. Back in episode 41 was our last punt. So obviously we didn't do one during the interview episodes. We did slip one in here while Sugar Snags was off and about. And we didn't do too well. So we had Crystal Palace, Diego Ferreira, Ireland in the rugby, and Kansas City. And I think Kansas City let us down.
I put in the
Super
group
Bowl.
chat too. I would have went Tampa Bay.
Yeah, well, Tampa Bay got up. I don't know how Ireland went. I don't know how Diego Ferreira. How did Diego Ferreira?
Diego Ferreira
Yeah,
lost.
he got up.
He lost.
I'm pretty sure he
How did
did.
Crystal Palace go?
Crystal Palace won. Interesting stat here.
Shock.
Crystal Palace have not lost when they've been in the Run It Back Punters Club.
Oh, back him again.
100%.
Can't lose. Crystal ball.
Inside. Well, cool. Well, we might jump into this week's Punters Club. I might kick us off. Stoney, you're our $10 investor this week.
Boom.
All right, boys. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Tempt me during a pick. I'm going to take Rosenstrick at $3.15.
Oh,
Fucking hell.
Oh, yeah, just go whatever you want, boys.
No. I'm actually going to introduce the podcast a bit of AFLW. Richmond AFLW team has not won a game since its inception. Well, it's only last year that they come into the league, so they're only young, they're only early. They're starting to hit some form. They still haven't won, but they're starting to hit some form. So they're playing Stoney's girls this week. They are actual favourites.
Can I just analyse these odds? So you're telling me your girls have not ever won a game?
Correct.
They're $1.46 and my girls are $2.
Yeah.
Not looking good for the cats.
Tasted victory champagne and they're still the underdog.
I'm looking for the AFLW Tigers to get on the board with their first win, and I'm going to take them as my leg one.
Holy dooly. You know you're in strife if you're playing a team that's never won and you're a steep underdog.
Yeah, underdogs. Yeah. Joe, I was going to take the same thing.
Lock it in.
My coach at the gym is actually the strength and conditioning coach for the Richmond AFLW team.
Perfect. It's a sign.
Yeah,
They haven't won a game, so it's not a sign that your strength and conditioning coaches.
Oh, she's only just started, mate, so she's building them up.
If you and the Richmond AFLW are prodigies, so far it's not looking
they're
good.
sharing the third place podium.
She might be out of that industry as quick as CM Punk.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What do we got? No denying there. All right, boys. Crystal Palace have not lost. We broke that stat.
Let's go.
They're missing their best player, Wilfred Zaha. I would say their only good player.
Oof. Brutal.
Their record without him, boys, is 2 wins and 18 losses the last 20 times he's missed.
Wow.
But we're playing Brighton.
Oh, talk to me.
And we're paying $5.50, and Brighton are not that good. So, I actually think this is good value, boys.
Oh,
Contrary to all the evidence I've just presented, I've never let you down. I'm pleading with you. Just let me put this one on. Statman, you've scoffed at Crystal Palace every time I've put them in. Can I get a nod?
Would you like me to scoff again just so I can cement
Do it.
Crystal Palace?
We're doing it, boys. $5.50.
Yes, he's on.
All right. It's going to be low scoring. It's going to be 1-0. But we're not going to put the result. That's just...
Oh, just imagine if I put Rosenstricht in there instead of that. $3.15, $5 something. Boys.
All right, Statman, who have we got?
I'm heading to UFC 259. We've spoken about it a little bit at length before the podcast. One of the amazing fights on the undercard that we couldn't fit onto the main card. Dominic Cruz versus Casey Kenny. I'm going Dominic Cruz. It's even odds, $1.90. I'm taking Cruz.
Coming back to it. Radio Snag's going to go to the world of rugby union, boys. Game that I have dominated in the high school years. As a fly half for the bloody Warhope team. Bloody killed it, boys. Probably should have got signed, but I decided to take a different path in my life, and podcasting I decided was the way to go. That's my career. So, boys, I'm actually going to go and tip in the Super Rugby. I'm going to take... how much value do we want to give? I'm going to take the Blues over the Hurricanes, paying $1.92, so it's an even spread here. So, Blues for Snags.
What's our damage look like, Stoney?
Boys, we're up there. So powered up. 33.76.
Oh,
not too bad.
337.
Oh,
Thanks,
the
boys.
The boys could be on here. Could be on.
Let's just
I feel like it's going to come down to Crystal Palace. I think if Crystal Palace can get up,
we're going to know soon enough, because I don't like
What were the
doing
odds on
this.
the
But
Palace?
Crystal Palace tomorrow at 7 a.m.
Oh, it's early.
I know it's before the potty
That's
drops.
all right. That's all right.
Yep,
Yeah,
but it's going to put it out of our misery nice and early in the week.
It'll be good.
I like that.
Good.
Boys, I'll put that on and lock her away.
Cool. Boys, that wraps out episode 43 of the podcast. If you like what we're doing, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the podcast. Please check out and subscribe our YouTube channel as well. We'll start to put up some original content on there also. Please don't forget, the Humble Gi giveaway is only a few days to go.
Stay humble, baby.
It's pushed well above 500 entries, so it's going to be absolutely crazy when we draw that. We'll probably draw that on the Sunday, and it closes Saturday the 27th Australian time. That's us for episode 43, boys. I'm producer DL.
I am your author of the podcast, Sugar Snags, baby.
I'm the stat man.
And my name is Stoney.
And we'll run it back with you guys on the next Run It Back podcast.
Boys, forgot to mention. Next week we got the letter V. Letter V. DL. Heads up. You know this answer, okay?
Do I?
Historic podcast answer this one. Get on.
Oh.
That's all I'm giving this week.
Oh. All right, cool. DL could be.
Boys, you might have to go through the archives.
I could move into second. I could move into first place.
Good.
Get off that.
All right, good
Oh,
point.
you're in last at the moment at DL because I'm on a full point with Stoney.
Oh, fuck. That's fucked.